invested in me during the entire interview process, and I likewise really invested in them. So I met every single person that works here before being offered the position. So I knew exactly what I was going into. I've been in that office multiple times. So the work environment was really important to me. It's a very flat structure. I had access to everybody. So I kind of knew those things going in, and I don't think that's something that other organizations truly offer. So that work environment and just the investment that they needed me throughout the entire process were key decision making.
I found out about this fellowship because the director of career services at NYU Wagner actually came up to me. She's this small South Asian woman, lovely, Surbi, the best. She actually came up to me while I was at NYU Wagner's offices, and she was like, there's an opportunity here that you need to look at. Like, this was actually written for you. Everything that you're interested in, like, you need to look at this. Because it wasn't even on the career services website at that point. She like forwarded me the PDF you sent them. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, because as a student, I was actually the president of Wagner Philanthropy, because NYU Wagner, as a public service and nonprofit management school, right, surprisingly doesn't have a good grasp of what philanthropy does, or like the importance of having grant writing as a class, right? So a lot of the work that I had done in graduate school was increasing awareness amongst my student body about why philanthropy is a pillar for the sector and why you should care about it. So I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Because I remember looking at Philanthropy New York's website as a student and seeing that like I wasn't a member, so I couldn't attend. And like asking friends who worked at corporate firms, I was like, can you go and send me the materials so that I can see? So it was already like a perfect alignment there. I too thought that the intentionality with the application, asking what do I care about as a human being, was one of the biggest draws. Because I felt that the offer that I had to be a consultant, although wonderful, I was going to be sent to like Buffalo though, guys. I was like, money but Buffalo. So that was also a consideration. But I thought that the ability to bring my whole self into my work was something that I couldn't get with any of the other opportunities that were in front of me. And that was definitely like the deciding factor when I was like, sorry to the consulting folks, like I can't do this opportunity at any other time in my life. Like this is a once in a lifetime chance. So that is when I basically said goodbye. Very nicely though. That was my first lesson on how to politely decline an offer, because I've never had to do that before.
And that is an art.
So much Googling, guys.
Are you being drawn to something?
Mm-hmm.
If so, what?
Yeah, so again, like I said, I did my studies in health finance and health policy. So part of the application process I actually made in my pitch to Michael, as in please take me, was my proficiency in the healthcare sector. And I consistently feel engaged and at the forefront of what's going on in health policy here in New York State, specifically around district reform and the shift from health as an acute care model to a wellness model. That also appeals to my personal interest in community building and just building up community activism. So that is something that PNY has allowed me to cultivate a lot more than if I were working at any other organization. I also think that my work with the Fighters of Women and Girls has also just deepened my own like innate feminism, right? Because I self-identify as a feminist, although like there's obviously other flavors of that, right? Like womanist or I'm a humanist. So this is something that we were like, me and my friend would always talk about, but now I have like concrete examples to draw from when I make those arguments, right? And I know that I actually had the opportunity to work with the Fund for Girls and Young Women of Color in New York City as part of the Participatory Review Committee, and I wouldn't have had that opportunity had Pat not shared it with me, because it's actually being managed out of the Women's Foundation. I can concretely say, like, I would not have known that existed had I not been in this space at this time. And so what I'm thinking of after PNY is logically working in one of those issue areas, just because I do have the content subject matter expertise in those areas. But also just, I also am just drawn to like how our members do the work that they do. So I know that the members here at PNY are a lot more engaged with the communities that they serve than maybe other foundations who may not find the value of PNY. So like I see which members are focused on using a racial equity lens in their grant making or grantee-centered giving. And so those are influencing like, oh, well, I want to be part of these organizations that do that kind of work. So if I'm not working in the philanthropic sector, even though I really hope to, I was talking it out with Catherine, who's our COO, about like what other options would I have? And I was thinking about like how do I further develop that subject matter expertise, that if I wanted to go back into philanthropy at a later time. So thinking about like think tanks, like the Urban Institute, or even like the Jonas Center, because I have a personal connection, my mom's a nurse, so the things that they talk about with regards to workforce development and what the future of the healthcare workforce will look like is something that I'm deeply connected to. Would love to explore more in more details.
How should we be thinking about selecting mentors?
Okay, well, truth be told here, how this happened was Stephanie just came up to me and said, will you be my mentor? And for those of you who know Stephanie, who cannot say no to Stephanie, and I said, sure, what does it involve? And what is this fellowship? Because actually I didn't even really know that much about it, but of course the more that I learned, you know, both about the fellowship and you know, about Stephanie, the more that it was really just so compelling and so apt, you know, and it's just the right thing, you know, that I'm so pleased that Philanthropy New York also has a program like this, because I mean, right before this happened, I was also part of the Young Leaders Breakfast Club, you know, initiative that Philanthropy New York has, that I think many of you may certainly have heard about, if not been involved in, and just really found that to be so rewarding in really being in touch with, you know, those who are just getting started in philanthropy, and really recognizing and looking back for myself that, wow, I didn't even know what philanthropy was, and before I even, you know, came to it, I came through from sort of the other side. And so really understanding that for those of us who are in philanthropy, that we have actually a real responsibility to support those, you know, who are coming behind us and next to us, as well as it is a great gift to us as well to learn. I always think about mentoring as a two-way street. I hate the word mentor, mentee. I think of it as really just, you know, an exchange and a real learning opportunity for both. So that's sort of, you know, how that happened. And I think that it's a rich experience, again, if we can really understand it as enriching, you know, through both ways. I love that you use that word "pay it forward." I always think, you know, that is such an important concept. So, and when we talked about it being an important pipeline for philanthropy, I think that's totally right, because I've heard now from so many colleagues that this is also how, and particularly people of color, and particularly women of color, that they have been part of a fellowship program of some sort that introduced them to philanthropy. So, I don't know, I'm answering your question.
You have answered it, and you have challenged us. And you have challenged us today to rename the mentor-mentee relationship into something that truly reflects what exactly what should be